What's up, Wolfpack? It's Mr. McDonald with a quick tutorial on how to set up your puzzle cube for building in TinkerCAD. And so in this video, what you can see that I've got set up is you can see my face so I can talk to you directly. You're going to see over here, you're going to be able to see my hand so you can see if I'm doing a left click or a right click. And then, of course, down below here, you're also going to see what we're doing in TinkerCAD. And you can see a couple of other versions that I've started with, but today what we're going to do is we want to be able to have you start from scratch so you can be very successful in developing your puzzle cube. Now, for today, we're just going to cover making the basic setup for puzzle cubes. In subsequent videos, I'll show you how to then pick out individual cubes, how to group them, and start making your parts. So for today, what we're going to do is we're going to start with a new design. So we're going to click on this blue one. And before we get too far, what we're going to want to do is when TinkerCAD generates a new design, you're going to want to go up here to the upper left because it's going to give it kind of a random name. And you can see this one, I think it's Terrific Vehelmo, which I know what terrific means. Vehelmo, I'm sure it's a word. Don't know what that word means. So we're just going to click right here and you can see it says change name. So I'm going to click right in that space and I'm going to title my my design such. I'm going to go Puzzle Cube, U-Z-Z-L-E. And you can see some of the other ones that I've already done. You're going to put your name first and last, please. So even though my first name isn't Mr., you know, I'm a teacher, so Mr. McD. And you're going to put the period that you're in. Now, because I'm doing this for videos, we're going to call this a async demo. Okay. And then you just hit enter in your keyboard. The reason why we want to do this is when you're in our TinkerCAD class, I can always look up and see how things are being designed and to help you out that way. Now, from here, we're going to go ahead and start making our model. Now, the thing I want you to think about is that the item that we're going to be making this out of is our wooden cube. So these right here that come in your parts kit, I'm just going to move my mouse out of the way here. We're going to be making them out of these 3/4 inch wooden cubes. Now, if you think about the linking cubes that you see here and that you have in your kit, these and the wooden cubes are identical in size. Now, if we look back in our notebooks and we just do a little bit of digging back, if you think back to maybe say multi-view sketch number 2, I can remember that one cube is basically 0.75 inches. So what I'm going to need to do is I don't want to build something that's a random object. I want to build something that is ideal and identical to what I'm building in real space. So I'm going to start by going over here to my parts and I'm going to bring a box over. Now, the problem with bringing a box over is that when we initially launched TinkerCAD, if you look right down here in the bottom corner, we're in millimeters. And, you know, outside of the United States, and pretty much even in the United States in manufacturing, things are done in metric. We are like the only industrialized nation that still uses the English measurement system. Just think like not even the English still use the English measurement system, which is also known as the imperial system. So what we're going to need to do is we need to adjust what our grid is. We actually need to set this into inches. So I'm going to go down here to a thing that says enter edit grid. And you can see it just popped up. It says workspace measurements. Now, the only thing I need to do is I'm going to go right here where it says units, click on what it says millimeters, and I'm going to go down to my second option, which is inches. Now, not going to mess with anything else. All I'm going to do is go down here to the blue button and update grid. And that is now set in inches. So each one of these boxes is an inch. And if you look down to your snap grid, which is kind of where it snaps into place, is set to 1/8 of an inch. Now that I've got it set in inches, I got to figure out how big this cube is because I need it to be 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go over to my tools here, right above my shapes, and I'm going to bring a ruler over onto my work plane. Now it can go anywhere, but you can see it says 0.787, which is about a centimeter or so. So what I need to do is I'm going to need to click in these spots because I need to make this 3/4 of an inch or 0.75 inches. So I'm going to click right here and I can see in each of my 3 dimensions. And so you can see if I need to scroll in, I'm going to use my scroll wheel. So I can be right here and I can scroll out. I can scroll in and I can click, single left click on my item and get yourself close enough where you can see all three measurements. Okay, now we want to think about the height, the width, and the depth. And I'm going to click in this space and then on my keyboard, 0.75 and hit enter. Now, the way it's going to display it is 3/4, which is 0.75 is the equivalent decimal of 3/4 in fraction. Same as 75% in percentages. They're all equivalents. The weird thing is, though, is if I was to click in this space and I think to myself, well, it's displaying as 3/4, so why can't I just go 3/4? Would make sense, right? The problem is TinkerCAD only accepts decimal values. And if any of you know Ms. Margot, our wonderful maker specialist, she's actually written to Autodesk, the company that makes TinkerCAD, and there's a lot of people in the 3D design community that are like, well, so you're going to display it as a fractional measurement, but I can't input it as a fraction. And that's just kind of weird. So again, I need to put in 0.75. And if you kind of hold on a thing, sometimes the shape will move before you hit enter. It's almost like a preview. But again, hit enter. It's going to display as 3/4. Let's do that on one last side here. So 0.75. And now I have my 3/4 inch cube. And what is on my screen right now is identically, it's a virtual version of this wooden cube that you have in your hand. That's right here in your kit. Now, let's talk about what we're going to do in terms of how to work with this, okay? Now, remember, left click is selection, right click is to change how you look. So kind of thinking of like your Roblox kind of controls. So now that I've got one cube, I need to bring and turn this one cube into a 3x3x3 layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really copy and paste a lot of this. I don't want to make it much more difficult. So I'm going to take and I'm going to left click on my item. And if I go up here, I can go to my upper left-hand corner. You can see right here, it says copy or Control+C. Now, whether you're an icon person or a keyboard shortcut person, you use what makes best sense to you. But I'm going to hit Control+C on my keyboard. And then all I have to do is if I look at my next one, this is paste or Control+V. So if I click paste, I get a second block. And I'm just going to use my left mouse to click and move it over just so it's sitting right next to it. Might jump around a little bit. And if it ends up off a little bit, I can always go up here to my reverse arrow or undo. And so I can just kind of turn that. Let's just scoot that over a little bit. Okay, so let's see. Can I move you up a little bit? Oh, and if they don't align, I can just put them right there on a line. And I'm just going to put them right next to each other. Okay, now because I already have that piece selected, I can hit paste again. And I'm going to get a third one. Move that over. Get it right there. Now remember to kind of slide my work plane. I'm going to hold my right mouse and hold shift on my keyboard, and that is going to allow me to move it side to side. So again, holding shift on my keyboard, hold my right mouse, now I can kind of slide it over. Okay? If I hold my right mouse, I can even just my right mouse, no shift. I can now just kind of rotate the view a little bit. Okay? So now that I got my 3, let's go ahead and move it forward. Okay, so again, I just copied one and then pasted 2 more, stuck them right side to side. And I'm going to use the same thing. Now, you can select objects by either, hitting Control-A, but honestly, what is best is if you click with your left mouse, you can kind of lasso. You can see I'm kind of drawing a red square there. I can lasso this layer. Now again, I can either go up here to my icon or hit Control-C on my keyboard, and then hit paste or Control-V, and just with my left mouse, click, bring it down, line it up. There's my second layer. Going to do that one more time. So again, Control-V, or I can hit my paste button, brings my next 3 in there, click and hold my left mouse, bring it on over, and that is my first layer. So this, in essence, is the very first layer of our puzzle cube. So if you're thinking of like a Rubik's Cube or any 3-layered puzzle, this is our bottom floor. Now, from here, we're going to make some really, really cool moves. And we're going to use a slightly different copying tool, which we call duplicate. Now, the difference is copy and paste. You copy the objects, but when it pastes it, it's going to shift it over just a little bit so it's easier to grab it. Now, duplicate is going to be something a little bit different in that it's going to make a copy of the object, but it's not going to put it anywhere else. It's going to literally just sit there. So to show you with a single cube, if I zoom in, I could click on this, and the duplicate button is this kind of series of squares. It also can be done with Control D. Now what I want you to see is if I click on that, it doesn't look like anything happened. But what's really going on is there is a second model in the same place. So it's almost like magic, like I pull it out of it. It's really, really kind of cool. Now, I don't need that square, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. I can just click delete on my keyboard. But what I want to do is, because I got all 9 of these cubes now, I just want to make a copy of it and just stick it right on top like it's another layer in a cake, right? So think of like, if I have a 3-layer cake, I've got my bottom layer, middle layer, top layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first click with my left mouse and drag and lasso the whole thing. I want to get all 9 of these. And I'm going to duplicate that. Now, I could pull these up, and there's a lot of ways I could do it, but the easiest way for me is I'm going to go over here and use my work plane tool. Using my left mouse, I'm going to click and drag a work plane, and you'll see that over here it's blue, and when it goes on top of the red blocks, it turns orange. Now, what this does is, the work plane I've explained in previous videos, it's kind of like your table. So it's like this table right here. Now, what if I didn't want to build there? Well, if you think about building a building, they put scaffolding. So this temporarily gave me, now says, well, the table we're working on is now on top of my set of blocks. And check this out. I'm going to do this in the camera. So one finger, I'm going to hit the letter D on my keyboard. You're going to watch my finger. It's not going to leave the camera right here. I'm going to go down here to my keyboard, down here to the letter D. Boom, look at that. One button. Now, what I just did is D, it makes your parts drop. Now, some of you might be, Mr. dropping goes down. True. But it is going to drop any object onto your work plane. Well, since our work plane is now on the top of this, it's going to pop it right up. Now, I can duplicate that one more time, and it's going to pop it right on top again. And now, all I got to do is get rid of my work plane. So click on my work plane, and I can click anywhere outside of the object, just where you can see it's blue. So single click with my left. And now, my friends, I have a 3x3x3 cube. So let's see how we did that one more time. Okay. First thing that I did is I went ahead and I started with my 3x3 layer. I drew a box around, so I lassoed them all. And I went up to my duplicate tool and I duplicated it. I then grabbed a work plane and saw that it turned orange when I put it on top of my stack of red blocks here. What that does is temporarily make the area and the surface that I'm working on the top of my first layer of blocks. Now, all I have to do here is hit D. That is going to bring the layer that I just copied and duplicated, and it's going to bring it up on top because it's going to drop it on top of the work plane. If I then go back over here to duplicate and repeat, I just click that one more time. That's going to get my third layer. If I zoom out using my scroll wheel, I now can see that I've got 3 layers. So now all I have to do is get rid of my work plane. So I'm going to click on my work plane tool with my left mouse. So just a single click. Bring it over here. I can see that it's blue, so it's not on this. I don't want it orange where I'm moving it here. Just click here, and it gets rid of it. And this, my friends, is how we're going to go ahead and create our cube. So I hope this tutorial makes sense. If you have any questions, please let me know, because there are subtleties with your left click and your right click. But once we get into this, now we can start picking out our parts. You can change colors, you can group. There's a whole lot you can do. But at this point, this is where I'm going to leave the video for right now. In my next video tutorial, I will show you how to start grabbing blocks, how to group them, and other things you can do to make things easy. So you can actually turn your model transparent, like it's made out of glass. You can change colors so that certain parts stand out. But that'll be in our next tutorial there. So I hope this helped. If you have any other questions, remember, we've got that inbox over here in Canvas. You can email me, but I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for your help and your attention. And after this, let's start making some puzzle cube pieces. See you in the next video.